Good afternoon. I am Nick Ryland. I am co-founder and certified financial planner here at Vantage Point Financial. Many of you are aware that we do these monthly webinars. This is a special month. We have two in the month of June. And this one is not going to be about finances or taxes or investing. I shouldn't say that. It is actually about investing in your health. So really excited for our guest speaker today. Jackie Barta is a certified integrative nutritional counselor who focuses on holistic wellness. She is the founder of Be Well, a healthy lifestyle community. Jackie takes a whole body approach to health, healing, and wellness. She has extensive cutting edge knowledge in holistic integrative nutrition, health coaching, and disease prevention. Her holistic wellness approach focuses on gut health and the link between digestive issues and physical and emotional health conditions. She's incredibly passionate about helping individuals make targeted diet and lifestyle changes that produce real sustainable results. And I can tell you firsthand, I have been working with Jackie for a while here as her expertise as a nutritionist, and she has helped me out immensely. I have learned a ton, and I know all of you are going to learn a lot today as well. So be well, you're welcome to have questions. We're going to have a Q&A section. So if you click on, there's a Q&A button. It should be on your bottom of your screen. You may have to click on the more to get to the Q&A section, but go ahead and put your questions in there. Please keep these relatively general. She has a lot to cover, and we want to make sure we get through all the material, but we do want your questions. And we're going to give you her information at the end as well. You can definitely reach out and contact her. She's super helpful, super knowledgeable, and going to turn it over to you, Jackie.
Great.
Jackie Barta.
Thanks, Nick. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Vantage Point, for having me here. Appreciate it. And everyone for taking time out of their day to join us in the middle of the afternoon here. First, I'm going to tell you, I'm not a doctor, okay? I work in the world of integrative nutrition, more on the holistic side of things, very much empowering individuals to bring their body back into balance more naturally. My mantra is food is medicine, and I think you'll get the grip of that as we go through today. So, uh, my goal is always to give you just doable, actionable things that you can start implementing today. So, I hope you have some pen and paper handy because we are going to give you a bunch of helpful ideas that I would love to hear that you start implementing right away. My goal is always to help the individuals be the best version of themselves. So, in order to maximize time, like Nick already said, we're going to put the Q&As on the side. I'm going to try to get through those sometimes as we go along, if possible, and if not, then I will address at the end. And you'll always have my contact information to reach out if we don't get to your question. I always like to begin, and I know we're talking about gut health, but I want to start with your brain, and I want to explain why. This beautiful brain of ours has all these wonderful little neurotransmitters. Those are our happy transmitters, the serotonin, things like that. What people don't understand, or are starting to understand more of now, is that your gut and your brain are directly connected, and the condition of your gut affects the condition of your brain. And we all know the importance of a healthy brain for long-term good health. So to further take this down that road, what I want you to understand is a little bit of science class here. When you are being formed in utero, and the cells that are forming your microbiome, half of those cells break off and they form your brain. They are connected through the vagus nerve that runs up and down the spine. And we're hearing a lot about the vagus nerve now. It's used a great deal for helping individuals with anxiety, depression, calming central nervous system. I could do a whole talk on the vagus nerve. But what you want to understand is there is a direct correlation. So with 90% of the serotonin, those happy transmitters being made in your gut, I just want you to understand if your gut is compromised, it's affecting your brain. And a lot of times when I work with clients that have cognition problems, whether it's ADD, ADHD, or low mood or anxiety, whatever it might be, they never really think about their gut. They're thinking other parts of the body. They're thinking brain, so pretty much brain centrally. So I want to bring this to the forefront because as we go through this, you're going to see how the brain and the gut are connected, but how the gut has a rippling effect through all the systems in the body. I start with the brain because it's pretty important. And people aren't aware of the serotonin percentage that is made in your gut. So how does that connection get compromised? Because if our gut isn't healthy and we're not making the serotonin, we know it's affecting our brain. How does that become compromised? Well, there's a couple of ways, but I want to just dive into some simple, easy ways. Nick, if you could put up the picture of the good bug, bad bug, that would be helpful.
I'm on it.
While he's doing that, I'm going to just start to explain. Okay, here we go. Let's just say this is a simplified picture of your microbiome. In our microbiomes, we have good bugs and bad bugs. And here you can see we have more bad bugs than good bugs. The idea here is to have both within the microbiome. However, what we want to do is have more good bugs than bad bugs. So how do we do that? And why do we have so many bad bugs? A lot of people say, well, how did it get like that? So I'm going to tell you three main reasons why we may have more bad bugs than good bugs. One is foods, two is stress, and three is toxins. All right. So if those three things are feeding the bad bugs, we have too much of the wrong messages going in. So how do we flip this? I really want the percentage to be good bugs on top, bad bugs on the bottom. How do I flip it? It's through diet and lifestyle changes. It's pretty easy. I do this all day long with clients, but the effects are so rippling through the body. People underestimate the power of the microbiome. Thousands and thousands of years ago, Hippocrates said, all disease begins in the gut. He knew what he was talking about, because you fast forward and now the government is spending millions of dollars to invest and understand and research how the microbiome is impacting all of our systems in the body. Let's dive in a little bit more. The average American has about 64% of the average Americans are working with a compromised gut, and they don't even realize it. And it doesn't mean like, oh, I have a stomach ache. No, you don't even realize it. Some people are like, oh, my stomach doesn't bother me. No, I'm fine. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this, a compromised ecosystem. That beautiful little ecosystem we want to have good and bad in a better proportion, good to bad. So there is a gut slide, Nick. I'm going to ask you put that up, please, next. I just want you to have a big picture of everything that is affected when we talk about our microbiome, not just, oh, I have constipation, or oh, I have IBS, or I have bloating or acid reflux. That's just a small percentage. In this picture here, you can see how the microbiome affects many different systems in the body. And people aren't aware of this. We already talked about neurological, all right? But something that a lot of folks don't realize is the condition of their microbiome affects the blood sugar. And we're seeing much increase in diabetes today. There is so much work that you can do to heal this microbiome to bring your blood sugar down. I do this all the time with clients, because they come in and see me right before their doctor says, if you don't do something, I have to put you on insulin at their next visit. So that's when they come in to see me, and then we start to work on healing the microbiome, and it changes. And they go, I get the phone calls afterwards, or they share their blood work results, and how it didn't have to happen. They were able to bring their blood sugar into the reasonable ranges. That's one example. This time of year with allergies the way it is, respiratory, seasonal allergies are a big impact with the microbiome. I'm going to give you a firsthand experience. When my son was younger, we have big cottonwood trees by our house, and his allergies were very bad. In the classroom, the teacher would stop the class and they would count how many times my son, Andrew, sneezed in a row. I thought, oh, once she told me that, that's very upsetting. So in order to address it, the doctors wanted to do a series of shots, and my son is deathly afraid of needles, even to this day as an adult, not a fan. So I said, okay, we're gonna address this a different way. And we went through it in a more, let's look at what you're eating type of approach. When we took out certain foods, the good bugs started growing more abundant. And when we have more good bugs, they can fight off the allergens. And so what happens is they are no longer fighting the foods that were working against his system. Now they are fighting the allergens from outside. We went through a whole season, and he said to me, Mom, I barely sneezed. This is amazing what's possible. But you see, we underestimate. Not many people realize, could my gut be affecting my respiratory system? The other thing with like hormones and glandular, whether I'm working with teenagers and that hormonal age, or if I'm working with a perimenopausal woman and that age, um, your foods that you eat can greatly affect how the hormones affect your body. And your foods make up your hormones. Okay, that's where everything starts to come into play. If we have a compromised gut, we're not making the right combination, we're not absorbing. And that's where we start to have some of these imbalances. In the wintertime, skin is a big issue, and a lot of times folks struggle with eczema. Okay, eczema is directly related to your gut. All right, we can change that through healing. Because a lot of times people come in and they're itching and they're saying, "You got to give me something for this." And I'm like, "How about we have a better plan? How about we heal your gut so we don't have to worry about this, not only this winter, but the winters to come?" So that's a big deal. If we can address things centrally, this is the root cause. I'm all about addressing the root cause. I'm not about the band aid. And you're going to realize that as we go through our time here today. Um, the immune system, I think we all learned during COVID, 75% of our immune system is in our gut. But don't forget, you guys, we're hearing so much about all these autoimmune conditions. This is tied to that. Okay, so we have to understand the big picture and the ripple effect. Blood sugar, look at cardiovascular, insulin, the cardiovascular, the insulin, the having to go on statins, all of those things, that is manageable and often preventable when I work with individuals on their gut. We're going to dive into today, how do we address that? How can we create a stronger gut barrier and work with improving all of these conditions? Notice I didn't address weight because weight automatically, once we heal the gut biome, your weight falls into where it should be. But it's something that everyone focuses on first, but as we clear up the condition of the gut, it just naturally comes into play. So let's start going through a little bit more of what it is that we can do, because as we go through these areas, I want to talk about, the food, the stress, and the toxins, so that I can give you a little more deep dives and actual tips and tricks you can start using today. I want to start with food because food covers a wide arena. All right. Some people can't do dairy. Some people can't do wheat. And some people don't even realize it. They don't know. They've been doing it their whole lives, right? For my son with the allergy issue, he was a carb lover. Okay. So we had to change the type of carbs he was eating. But we don't know that. I worked with a 74-year-old woman that came in, and when I work with people, I often look at what their blood type is like. And I noticed that her blood type is one that doesn't do well with dairy. And so I asked her if she had ever taken dairy out of her diet. And she said, no. I said, would you be willing for 30 days to take the dairy out? And I wrote up a protocol for her to follow. And she came back in 30 days and said, well, I wish I knew this 50 years ago. She goes, I have so much less inflammation in my body. My joints don't hurt. This is better. I sleep better. All these other things. She was like, I'm never going back to dairy again. I'm like, awesome. This is the power behind when you heal your microbiome. A little bit of knowledge goes a long way. So food can be a big umbrella. One of the other big thing under the category of food, and this feeds those bad bugs. This is what's like keeping them alive and active and keeping them at that higher percentage, is sugar. And I think we know that. All of us know that. We need to, reduce the amount of sugars, even the naturally occurring sugars. When I tell you the amount that an average American eats in pounds of sugar, you'll probably be blown away. In a year, an average American, this might not be you, but an average American eats 152 pounds of sugar. And this includes the naturally occurring sugars. Now, you might say, I don't really have a sweet tooth. I don't crave. I don't think that's actually what's my problem. That's very good. I'm glad about that. But think about things that turn to sugar. Are you eating the white starchies, like the white starchy rice, pastas, potatoes? That all turns to sugar. When it breaks down in your body, it turns to sugar. So we have to kind of look around how we look, how we eat, and what we consume, and how that product looks. We'll dive into a little bit more of that later, and I'll give you some other alternatives. But that's some of what's feeding those bad bugs in the category of food. Now, I do want to talk about the stress category. I remember I said food, stress, and toxins. The stress category it's hard to avoid in today's world. I will be the first to admit that. If we are in fight or flight all day long, like constantly running from the bear, and your cortisol is spiking through the roof, and you go to bed at night and you're exhausted, but you're in that wired, tired state and you cannot fall asleep, that is your stress factor talking to you right in front. And what we want to do is we want to address it as naturally as possible. When I ask people, how do you deal with your stress? A lot of times they're honest, and I want them to be honest. I can't help if you're not honest. But what I'm going to hear, I hear a lot of times, I kind of numb out and I scroll on my phone at the end of the day. Or some people are, I have a glass of wine or two or three or half a bottle. It can get carried away. Or I'm looking for chocolate at the end of the day. I'm looking for where's the ice cream. So those are some ways people cope with stress, but I want to give you some healthier options for coping with stress, because what I just mentioned, they're feeding all those bad bugs that we're trying to get rid of. And you can't feed it and kill it at the same time. So in order to prevent the growth of those and encourage the growth of the good bugs, where we will create a more balanced microbiome, a healthier, that's when we can actually go into looking at natural stress reducers. Something I'm going to tell you to do, which is very easy, takes no special equipment, is to get outside in nature and go for a walk for 30 minutes a day. And it could be a walk through your neighborhood, a walk through a park. It can be wherever you feel called to walk. The reason why is plentiful. One, it's very meditative. It's going to naturally lower your cortisol. Being in nature naturally lowers, just being outside naturally lowers your cortisol. Okay. If you are having trouble sleeping, there is something called circadian walks. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's often short-term. It's been on a lot of the social media feeds, and that's known as circ walks, for circadian walks. The idea here is first thing in the morning, put your gym shoes on, get outside, go for a walk for 30 minutes. What you're doing, you're exposing the pineal gland to natural sunlight. It helps naturally reset the circadian rhythm. I had one client, I don't remember this specifically, last summer, a young gal, and super stressed, going for additional certification and through work and doing a grad school program and all this. I had her do the circadian walk. She said, I have never slept as good as I did when I did that for 30 days straight. She said, my sleep was phenomenal. I was waking up completely rested. So this is easy. That is one suggestion if sleep is an issue. But otherwise, I'm just going to tell you, as a stress reduction, get outside and walk for 30 minutes in a day. It's extremely meditative. I swear it's the one thing that got me through the teenage years in my house. It's very calming to your central nervous system. All right. Now, there is some, and it's very balancing for your blood sugar too. It has been scientifically proven if you walk for 15 minutes after a lunch meal or a dinner meal, you will blunt the blood sugar spike. So I encourage it. I have some clients, they'll walk 15 minutes in the morning before they go to work. They have a dog, they're walking their dog. And then they'll walk again 15 minutes after they get home from work. It just somewhere get the 30 minutes movement in. Not only that, it helps move your lymphatic system, which helps move some toxins out of the body. It's very good for a plethora of things. I'll come back to walking at appropriate times, but just know this is very good for stress reduction for the topic we're at right now. A few other things for stress reduction. If you have a gym membership, great. Go to the gym. Take a yoga class at the gym. If you don't have a gym membership, YouTube a yoga class, YouTube a Pilates class. You can put it for beginners or for whatever stage you're at or whatever age you're at. The idea is it can be very accessible right in your home. All right. You don't need to have a big gym membership if that's not available for you. The other thing I'm going to tell you too, which is very much, might surprise you as stress reduction, lifting weights. And the importance of lifting weights is becoming even more and more apparent today as we age. For muscle integrity and bone integrity, you want to be lifting weights that way. And for your metabolism, I am specifically using it in this point for stress reduction. It does make a difference. And men are very open to this idea. When I tell women about it, they're like, I'm like, you're not going to build muscle. You're not going to get beefy. Don't worry. You're not going to have big bulging biceps. I just want to have stress reduction, and it'll actually improve your muscle memory and your integrity of the bone. They all like it once they get started with it. They do find it very stress reducing. And that's one of the reasons why I do it, is for stress reduction. Okay. If you have young children and you're like, oh, as much as I'd love to work out, that's just not realistic, that's okay too. What you can do is simple things. You can go for a walk with the family after dinner, right? You can have a dance party in the kitchen, right? Anything that'll get some movement going for you as well as your children are going to benefit everybody. The idea is movement helps reduce stress. Okay. Okay. We talked about food stress. Toxins is the last one. This is how how those bad bugs proliferate. You guys, the world we live in is the world we live in. What can I tell you? We have toxic burden on our body. Just 2 weeks ago, when the front page of the newspaper on Sunday was about microplastics and the forever chemicals in the water and all this. So our genes weren't really formatted for this type of toxic load, so we have to do what we can to try and reduce it where we can. We don't have control over a lot of it. I mean, they're going to spray chemicals on crops. All right. You can look for organic options in the store. That's somewhat of your control factor. But don't forget about your body care products, which are notorious for carrying toxins. However, in today's world, we have so many options now. There are so many companies coming out with healthier options. If you're a little bit confused there, here's what I'm going to tell you to do. Download the app called Yuka, Y-U-K-A. You may already have it on your phone. You might be familiar with it. You can scan the barcodes in the store on any product you want to purchase, food and body care products. And if it'll rate it poor to excellent. And if it is rated poorly, they'll tell you here's some other options to look for instead. It's super helpful, and it just gets you started on how can I take some of the toxic burden off the body. Like I said, we can't take it everywhere. We don't have control over that. But where we can, let's take some control back into our hands. Microplastics, it's a big issue today. Two things I'm going to tell you just from in that category. One, like take out food. You got hot food in a plastic container. Okay, that's not a great combination. We know that. If you're taking it home, put it on a plate and eat it off of a plate at home. If you're bringing home leftovers from dinner that night, when you get it home, put it in a glass container at home and then put it in your fridge. Take it out of the plastic container they give you. That'll be somewhat. And a lot of people say, oh, but it says it's microwave safe and dishwasher safe. Yeah, that just means it's not going to melt. Okay, it doesn't mean it's not going to degrade the food. So we want to be cognizant of where we can make changes. Same thing with your own leftovers at home. Use glass containers. Just make that switch from plastic to glass right away. That'll take a big component of the plastics out. And the other big component is the plastic water bottles. Where possible, please use a reusable metal like stainless steel water bottle. That'll be a big help in getting the microplastics out of the body too. It's good for our environment as well, but I'm concerned about just the toxic burden on the body. So those two things alone, I mean, I could go on for a whole talk on that, but just those two things alone are two of the bigger ones that's going to help you reduce the toxic load there. There's, like I said, there's forever chemicals, there's rules now, there's laws being into place. They have to get it out of the water stream, I think, within the next 2 years. So we're working to go in the right direction. Let's us take our own action where we can, because all those toxins, that creates havoc in your endocrine system. And that's like, we're talking about, again, that's autoimmune, that's your thyroid, that's, a lot of reproductive issues and challenges for young people today are going back to microplastics. That's kind of being researched and brought to the surface quite a bit right now. So all of these toxins, the bottom line is it's compromising the gut. It's leading to inflammation, okay? The end result is a body that's out of balance. All right, that's where we have those too many bad bugs. So it's the stress, the food, the toxins. But we can bring it back into balance. Not always lost. We can bring a lot of integrity back and bring more of those good, happy bugs back. So, okay. Let's start with some data points, okay? And I want to give you examples of how we can bring it back. These are terms or, some buzzwords you may have heard, whether it's through your doctor or if you're doing your own research, that people are very much trying to change where they can change, let's just say. One of the big ones is body fat. Okay, so for body fat percent, the reason why your doctor will always look at this is because it reduces, when you reduce your body fat percent, it can affect so much reduction in metabolic issues. And we're talking about whether it's diabetes, high blood pressure, even some cancers. okay? Because toxins hang out in the fat cells. I'll dive into that more in a minute. But just know body fat percent is looked at for that reason. How do we change it? Let me give you some ideas. This has to do with your protein carb ratio. Are you having more carbs than protein in your diet? All right. Not enough protein and too many carbs is going to increase this number. So when we can bring that back into balance, and we'll dive in a little bit more on that in a minute, when you can bring that back into balance, you'll see a change in your body fat percentage. And that's really important. And movement, exercise. If there's a lack of exercise, that also increases the body fat percent. The other big marker data point that your doctor will look at and you're hearing and reading and learning all about is body water, right? How much water are we consuming in a day? And I think we all know we need to drink more water, right? What amount of water? The rule of thumb is half your body weight in ounces of water. And I have clients come in all the time and go, oh, yeah, I drink a ton of water, Jackie. That's not an issue. I'm like, great. Just do me a favor when you get home, measure your water bottle that you're using and you're refilling every day, and just make sure that the amount you're drinking is half your body weight. They come back at their next appointment and they're like, okay, wait a minute. I thought I was drinking a lot of water. I really wasn't drinking as much. And once I started getting to that point, oh my gosh, my brain fog went away and I had more energy and all these other things started happening. So let me tell you what happens when you increase your water in a day to get to that number. And now keep in mind, if you're a 100-pound person, I'm talking you're drinking 15 ounces of water. If you're over 200 pounds, just maximize out at 100 ounces of water in a day. Anyone over 200 pounds, max out at 100 ounces of water in a day. That's a lot of water. Once you start doing that, here's some of the changes that you'll see. The reason why brain fog goes away when we increase our water, water carries oxygen molecules. That's fuel for your brain, okay? It also improves your energy because it carries oxygen molecules. It carries nutrients to the cells. It cushions your joints. It does so much for your body. It can heal constipation, okay? And when you talk about taking toxins out of the body, you need to make sure you're having a bowel movement every day, okay? Because that's how the biggest exit for toxins in the body. So that's an important thing. And if you're not having a bowel movement every day, that is a gut issue. You just need to work on healing that gut. That's very possible. That happens every day with clients. You can do that. But just increasing your water might be all you need to do. And we're talking about sips of water all day long. I'm not talking about, oh my God, it's 4 o'clock and I haven't drank any water and I'm chugging water like crazy. That's not the issue. We want to stay hydrated through the day. All right. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. One of the other markers that you're going to hear about is bone mass. All right. And you're hearing more and more about it just because the world is focused on that now. A lot of pharmaceuticals, medications can alter your bone mass or muscle mass. This is super important as you age to age healthy because we need to have bone integrity, right? So something I'm going to tell you that might create more awareness for you. If you have that osteopenia, osteoporosis category that's, you're in, it's not a death sentence. That is reversible. And I've done it myself. I've done it with other clients, and it's through diet and lifestyle. The bone issue is an absorption issue. Your bones are compromised because you're not absorbing. Why aren't those nutrients being uptaken and used into the bone? Because the gut is compromised, right? It can't absorb it. So if we have leaky gut, a lot of the nutrients are leaking out of the intestinal tract and they're not being uppulled by the cells. So there's a reason for it. So a lot of things you have to look up. Yes, you are what you eat, but you are what you absorb. Okay, so we have to look at the integrity from that reason too. Okay, visceral is the last one that your doctor might say or you might see on terms. Visceral is midsection. Okay, visceral refers to the midsection of the body. Why does the doctor look at this? Because your vital organs are here. Your liver, your pancreas, your gallbladder, your spleen, your intestinal tract, your cardiovascular system is tied to this. All right. Well, majority of the fat cells are in our midsection. When the liver is overburdened with too many toxins, what ends up happening? It can't let it's got to get rid of some of it. It can't let it go into your bloodstream because it knows it'll be harmful. So it stores those toxins in the fat cells. Okay, the last place we want toxins stored are by our vital organs. Okay, so this is why that's always a concern for doctors, is your visceral number. Okay, this is a big deal. I measure these markers all the time when at each consultation, simply because that's how we know people are healing and improving. It makes changes. Sometimes they will measure your metabolic age, not always. I always do that. Like if you're a 40-year-old person and you come in and your metabolic age shows up as 63, okay, well, it just tells me you've got extra toxins. We need to work on healing the gut and getting more nutrients absorbed into the body. It's usually very eye-opening, though. Let me tell you, it changes. I love when a 40-year-old person comes in. It starts out at 64, and by the time I'm done working with them, they're 24. That's a big deal. They go home and tell their spouse they're married to a younger person, which is fun. Okay, so now, um, what I want you to understand, it's a very simple process. How are we going to heal the gut? We're going to activate the metabolism, build good gut health, and cleanse out the toxins. It's not hard. The body is so resilient, you guys. It can do the work if it's given the proper tools and the proper environment. It's small daily choices. I'm going to give you some small daily choices now. That's what matters most. And it starts with how you begin your day. So, a lot of times when I ask people, what do they do first thing in the morning? The common answer is I go in the kitchen and I make a pot of coffee. Very, very typical answer. Let me give you some other ways to start your day that would be more helpful for your gut. Okay. One of the other common things I hear more now than before when I ask, how do you start your day? A lot of people will say, well, I pick up my phone and I kind of start scrolling. And sometimes I get lost in that for a while because the phone is the alarm clock these days. So let me present a new option for you. And this is where we'll tie in the phone a little bit more when we go into the evening suggestions I have. Right now, I'm just talking about starting your day, because the two pillars for healing your gut health is how we start our day and how we end our day. So let's just focus on the start of the day. We'll go back to the phone. But just know that that's not a good habit for your brain first thing in the morning. All right. The best thing you can do is just spend quiet time. Okay. The first few minutes of waking up. Rule of thumb in our house is there's no phones in the bedroom. They go in the docking station in the kitchen because it affects your sleep. So in the negative way. Okay. And when I have clients do the experiment with keep the phone out of the bedroom, they are amazed at how their sleep is improved. So I'm going to have you think about that a little bit. And we can dive into that more when I talk about the evening routine. But kind of keep that in mind that scrolling's not the best thing first thing in the morning. Let's go back to how we start our day. I want to make a suggestion before you do the coffee. Go pour yourself a glass of lemon water. 8 ounces of water. I don't care whatever temperature you want to make it. Okay. Because if I tell people certain temperatures, then they won't. I don't like it cold. I don't like it hot. I just want you to get in 8 ounces of lemon water first thing in the morning before the coffee. Pour the water, a squeeze, just a wedge, not a whole lemon, not a half, just a wedge of lemon. Squeeze it in and drink that. You don't have to chug it, just drink that. All right. The idea behind the lemon water, one, it's a huge detoxifier. We just talked about all these toxins. Why not make it easy? Lemons and water, super accessible. Take the lemon water first thing, take the toxic burden off the body. It's great to rebalance your pH. We're all too acidic. And the other part is it's a great dose of vitamin C. Now, I could sit here and give you 50 reasons why lemon water is good in the morning. Just know those are 3 of the big ones. After the lemon water, not coffee yet, okay? And the reason is this. Within the first hour of waking up, your gut is resetting itself and your metabolism for the day. So I hear a lot of people come in and go, my metabolism is kind of sluggish. Okay, this goes back to what we're doing first thing in the morning. So in that first hour, if I can get you to actually put some protein in before the coffee, it will make a huge difference in your metabolism. And the protein, you don't have to have like steak and eggs. I'm not talking about that. I really prefer a morning protein smoothie because you know what? When it's fast, it's easy, and it's super healthy. And the other thing is it's liquid. And if our guts are compromised, liquid is way more absorbable and you're going to uptake more nutrients that way. So let me give you an example of what this smoothie might look like. Usually we say somewhere between 12 to 14, 16 ounces of liquid. It depends on how thick or thin you like your smoothie. And then you add in 2 scoops of protein powder. Your protein powder, you want to make sure your protein powder, first off, you want to make sure there's no allergens in your protein. So none of the soy, none of the dairy, none of the wheat, no sugars, things like that. Just a nice, clean, healthy protein powder that has inulin. And inulin is food for the good bugs to grow on. I don't know. Are you guys familiar with inulin? It's INULIN. So inulin feeds those good bugs. So right now, first thing in the morning, we are going to give our good bugs a nice dose of help to proliferate throughout the day. Because you know what? At night, when you were sleeping, they were proliferating. They were growing. That's when your gut heals itself. That's when the body gets into the parasympathetic mode, which is the rest and repair mode. So that's why first thing in the morning when you wake up, I don't want you to put the coffee in. I want you to do the lemon water, take more toxic burden off the body. The good bugs can grow a little more. Now we're going to put in a smoothie. There's inulin. The good bugs are going to grow even more. Oh my gosh, all of a sudden we have more good bugs than bad bugs, right? What else goes in this smoothie besides the protein powder and the inulin? Well, the inulin is in the protein powder. Okay, I like to use a protein powder that's got mine has 75% of vitamins and minerals in there, which is great. Then we don't have to worry about taking extra vitamins and minerals. If it's in my protein powder and it's liquid, I know I'm uptaking it a lot easier, especially if the gut is compromised. And we want to put in, aside from the protein powder, we want to actually add 3 tablespoons of hemp seeds. Hemp, H-E-M-P, hemp seeds. The reason why those are loaded with antioxidants, okay? And they're loaded with omegas. And we need the omegas to bring down inflammation in the body. It's good for your brain and it's good for your skin. It's good for your eyes. The omegas, 3 tablespoons of the hemp seeds, 10 grams of protein. It's awesome. All right. So you're adding those 3 tablespoons in with your protein powder. And the last thing you're going to add in is those, the clear boxes of greens in your produce department, the organic greens like spinach or mixed greens, whatever it might be. Handful of that in your blender. That's it. Blend it up. You guys, this takes 3 minutes, all of 3 minutes. Some people will do it the night before, put it in a shaker bottle with the metal ball because they have to run out the door, catch a train, get their kids off to camp, whatever it might be. It's ready to go. No excuses. It's there for them. So by consuming that, that's 30 grams of protein. Your body is seeking that amount of protein to reset for the day. That's how you reset your metabolism. I will tell you, this is a game changer. I have clients tell me all the time, all right, I don't know what it is. I swear I say it's smoothie, but I'm not even craving my coffee. And I love my coffee. What is going on? What's going on is that your cells are now being fed real nutrients and you're not needing the coffee. It is the fuel. You are using the coffee as the fuel. That's empty fuel. Okay. You want your car to go, you put gas in it. You want your body to function, you put protein in it within the first hour of waking up. And I'd be happy to share with you the protein that I'm using and things like that. I can send out a follow-up email for people to have that information, just so that helps eliminate a bunch of questions there. But what I want to do is take it one step further after your protein. Yes, you can have coffee. It's not the enemy, but what I want to suggest with coffee, please just make it organic because the coffee beans are super heavily sprayed. And the farmer doesn't want to lose a crop. He has to spray the crop to keep it. And so the problem is this, they also have a lot of mold on them, coffee beans. So I just suggest look for organic coffee. And it's everywhere. You don't have to worry about it. It's everywhere from Costco to Trader Joe's. You can go buy a can of coffee beans at Trader Joe's and grind it right there in the store and bring home fresh ground organic coffee. Okay. And it's reasonable. It's available. Let's just say this everywhere. Okay. So you can have your coffee after that smoothie. The reason why I don't want the coffee in first thing is the order is important because we want to respect those good bugs that were built the night before. If we throw coffee in first thing in the morning, what's happening? The acid in the coffee is doing a number on those good bugs that you just built in your belly at night. So then it's like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Let's work with our bodies. Let's give it a fighting chance. So that's where the order is helpful. And it's not unreasonable either. And I'd be curious to see the changes you notice. I have a lot of people that say, I even forget about my coffee. Sometimes oh my God, I never had my coffee today. So when did we say that ever, right? It's when your body is being fed and nourished. Okay. So what you put in first thing in the morning really does matter. Um, this protein, this 30 grams of protein, because people will say, oh, I eat eggs in the morning and bacon and that. That's great. One egg is 7 grams of protein. You need 30 grams of protein to reset the metabolism. This will prevent that I'm looking for something at 2 p.m. to eat. This will prevent I need to take a nap at 3 p.m. It makes a huge difference. Try it. I have clients come back and tell me this all the time. Try it. The only way you're going to know is if you try it. All right. Now, let's just to have a protein moment here. There's a couple of reasons why it's so important because we hear a lot about protein today, especially as people age, the importance of it. Not only does it help balance your blood sugar, it reduces those cortisol spikes. Okay. That calms your central nervous system right there. We're talking about the stress earlier. That's very calming. It also helps prevent that mid-morning crash and burn that we talked about, but it supports the neurotransmitters. Remember early on we talked about the brain and the dopamine and the serotonin. Okay, those are your hello good mood kind of boost good bugs. You know, those are the ones that you want to have abundance. The other thing too, I'm going to give you a suggestion. In your coffee, put a pinch of cinnamon. That'll help balance blood sugar too. If that's a concern of yours, put a little pinch of cinnamon. I prefer the Ceylon, Ceylon cinnamon. Very helpful for balancing blood sugar. Okay, let's keep moving forward. I talked to you about my coffee. I talked to you about, you know, let's be reasonable with our coffee, like 1 to 2 cups max. And from there, we switch to water. That's when that water bottle comes into play. When you're pouring your lemon water first thing in the morning, fill that reusable water bottle at the same time and have it ready to go at the door. If you've got to take kids out the door, or if you got to get to the office, or if you're going to go run errands, it'll be with you and you'll be more likely to drink the water. Okay, we had said earlier that we are what we absorb. So that's why I like this liquid smoothie in the morning because it's easy for the body to absorb if our guts are a little bit compromised. Sometimes people in the beginning, healing your gut, if you're having a lot of like gas or belching or bloating or constipation, you might need a digestive enzyme. Those are just enzymes that help you break down the carb and the protein and the dairy. It breaks into smaller pieces so that the body can digest it. Because when undigested food reaches into the intestine, it can cause inflammation. And we're not digesting properly, then we're getting more inflammation, then we're getting more leaky gut, and there's the compromised gut again. So you might need a digestive enzyme if that's the case. And I would give you 2 suggestions for just meal times and helping to break things down. One, when you're having your lunch and your dinner, please make sure you're sitting down and eating. Okay. That's really bad for your digestion process if we're standing. It's much better if you're sitting. And the other thing I'm going to suggest is chew your food slowly. Digestion begins in the mouth. All of these digestive enzymes are released in your saliva. When you're having dinner tonight, I want you to count how many times you chew before you swallow. I think you'll be surprised because the next time you take a forkful, I'm going to tell you, chew 20 times before you swallow and tell me the difference. You're going to be chewing, by the time you get to 10, 12, 14, you're like, there's nothing left to chew. I can't chew at 20. You can, but it makes such a big difference. When I tell clients to do this, the 2 things I hear back is, 1, I eat less when I do that. And 2, I have way less gas or belching or bloating. And the reason is when we're eating faster, we're taking in more air. And that's not good for your system either. We know that. So there's a reason to enjoy the meal. Okay. Sit down and enjoy your meal. No matter what the meal is, just sit, chew, enjoy your meal. It will help the body with the absorption process too. Okay. That's kind of the early first pillar of the day. Now I want to go into the second pillar of the day, which is the nighttime routine. And the reason why this is important, it's your parasympathetic mode. That's when the body heals. So I kind of use the example. I like the example of if you're in an office building and you work in an office building, you leave, and then in the evening, the cleaning crew comes in and they clean up everything and make it beautiful for the next day. When you are sleeping, your cleaning crew, your body's natural cleaning crew is going to work. This is when your liver is most active. This is when all of those toxins are being cleared out, okay? Whether it's in your brain or other parts of the body, this is an important part. You're sleeping and thinking nothing is happening, and your body is super fast at work. It does a lot of work when you're sleeping. That's what we want it to do, but we want to help it get into a nice deep parasympathetic mode. So I'm going to give you some sleep hygiene practices that we can think about and maybe put into play, maybe even tonight. Let me give you some examples. The first thing, we talked a little bit about that phone. I am going to challenge you. Go buy an alarm clock at Target and put it in your bedroom. Get the phones out of the bedroom. Do that for 2 weeks. Do it for 10 days. Tell me if there's a difference. Okay. You can't do it for a day and tell me nothing's happening. You can't do anything for a day and say it didn't work. So what I'm going to ask you to do is try that experiment. See how the body feels. See how much deeper. And as the time passes, the body tends to get deeper into sleep. But I'm also going to suggest, and it's because it's disturbing to your circadian rhythm. That's why. Okay. But I'm also going to suggest some other routine things that you may or may not know of. We all know about the cool, dark room, right? And you can even get the room darkening shades anywhere today. Put those up. But did you know that it has to be a certain level of coolness for the melatonin to kick in? That's why we like a cool, dark room. Calming activities before bedtime. So that means don't watch the violent movies before you go to bed, or the disturbing news stories before you go to bed. We kind of want to have time to quiet the mind, whether you're reading a book, not an e-reader, because you know what? That's the other part of the digital world. We want to have any devices away from our face at least 1 hour before bedtime. Okay. If possible, 2 hours. I know that's asking a lot. It's asking a lot for myself too. So I always make the rule 1 hour before bedtime, no devices in front of the face. That means not an iPad, not an e-reader, not the laptop, not your PC, none of that stuff, no phones, because you're trying to set your body up for successful night's sleep and repair. All right. What about so you're going to be quiet, calming activities, no disturbing news, no disturbing violent movies, maybe reading, maybe meditating, maybe praying. Some people like to use lavender oil to diffuse it in the bedroom because it does enhance sleep. It's a very calming to your central nervous system. I have a lot of clients that apply it to the bottom of their feet. Just rub lavender oil on the bottom of your feet because that does facilitate sleep. A lot of people say that really works beautifully for me. All right, something else too. Have you heard the pose, legs up the wall? That's a yoga pose. Basically, you can do it in your bedroom. Your back is flat on the carpet and your legs are going up the wall. And that calms your central nervous system. That helps the body get into parasympathetic mode. When I have clients do this, they tell me, I could fall asleep like that. I have fallen asleep. I dozed off when I was like that. It's amazing how calming that can be. So if you're physically able to get into that pose, I suggest you give it a try. These are easy ways to calm your central nervous system so you have a better night's sleep and your body repairs. Okay, let's keep moving on. The other thing too, I said your body's very hard at work when you're sleeping. However, if you are eating an hour or two before bed, your body is very hard at digestion. And it's not going to digest and clean up at the same time. So what you're asking, that if you put food in an hour or two before bed, it's going to work on digestion because that's the primary. It has to do that. So then we skip that night of the repair. So that's why we always say, an hour or two before bed, let's not eat because it helps the body to heal and get into that mode a lot quicker. All right. Something that I will share with you, one more thing that I like to do, and a lot of my clients, I suggest that they try it. See if this works for you. We know probiotics are good for us, okay, because they feed the good bugs in our belly. But there's been a lot of studies how probiotics are very helpful for our sleep. What I encourage and often suggest for people to try is taking the probiotic before they go to bed at night. Because some people say, take a probiotic, I don't know if it does anything. Try taking it before bed at night because that's when there's no food going in. All right. It can go in. Make sure your probiotic has inulin in it. Remember that inulin in the morning that was in our smoothie? Well, you want inulin in your probiotic at night because that's going to help the rest and it's going to help the repair mode, I should say, the parasympathetic. So when you do that, you're giving those good bugs another boost. We gave it a boost in the morning in the smoothie. We're going to give it a boost in the probiotic at night. So try that. Try to increase, try try to improve some of the things you're doing throughout the day. You might be doing a lot of these. Maybe you need to switch up the time of day to enhance the healing in your own body. And you know what? As far as probiotics go, I have a lot of people that go, oh, I take a growth player. Wonderful probiotic, 100 million CFU. Okay, first off, you don't need 100 million CFUs. All right, you're not even absorbing it. You have expensive urine. That's all you have. Okay. What I really would suggest you do is just try to get a probiotic that has inulin and feeds all 11 different strains in your gut flora. And I can I can encourage you to take that if you probably have it on hand. I can always put it in the email when I follow up with you or when we send it out. Okay, so those are some end of the day activities. So we talked about stress, we talked about food. The last thing is cleansing. And as far as cleansing goes, you guys, if you remember anything from this talk, just remember you never want to cleanse your gut that has not been first rebuilt. Okay, so build up the good bugs first because that'll open the pathways for cleansing. If you try to cleanse and you have closed pathways, you will be miserable. So please don't think, oh, I'm just going to go jump on a cleanse. Don't do that. You won't be happy and it won't work. So I always encourage first rebuild your gut. I always rebuild gut. I take 30 days to rebuild the gut before we go into any type of cleansing. Cleansings are really important, though. I mean, it does take all that toxic burden. Like we said, we are bombarded with it in our world. And that's often, the leaky gut result of, the toxins in our world. But those toxins predispose us to all sorts of the metabolic diseases. And we're trying to get away from that. All right. We don't want that. All that autoimmune everything that's enhanced by all those toxins. So if we can reduce the toxic burden on the body, we're healthier individuals. And those toxins, you guys, I will tell you, play havoc in the brain. I worked with a young family not about a month ago, and the kids were with a lot of ADD, ADHD things, and we changed food. And did some very light cleansing with the kids. And the parents were like, oh my gosh, they get along now. Like they play with each other. They're happy individuals. Like, isn't it amazing what we can do when we take out those stressors that were causing all the disturbances in the gut and affecting the brain via the vagus nerve, right? So much is possible when we heal our gut lining. That's what I really want to impress here. Okay, so when you're taking the burden off the body and you decide you're going to cleanse, I'm not talking about a 3-day juice cleanse. I mean, just a nice herbal cleanse that has a supported protocol, because there's things you need to be doing when you're cleansing the body. I usually use like a 10 or 12-day cleanse, herbal supported protocol cleanse that is gentle but very effective. And I want to take the toxins out. But first I have to open those pathways with rebuilding the gut. I take the toxins out, and the results after a cleanse I hear often is I'm sleeping better. My digestion has improved. I have way more energy. I don't have the brain fog I used to have. Brain fog and toxins are highly connected. So just keep that in mind. That's why that water is important. It helps flush it out. When you start any of this, I want you to remember it takes 90 days for cellular turnover. So as you go through it, it is a process, and a lot of people think it's going to be immediate. It's a process, but if you let your body heal at the time it's supposed to and the way it's supposed to, it's lasting health. Okay. I'm always about educating and empowering you for long-term good health. I'm going to give you an example. I taught a gut health class, and a woman came in, and we were about week 5 or 6, and she happened to have her exam for all of her vitals, and the doctor came in and said, what are you doing? She's like, why, what's wrong? And he's like, no, your blood work looks great. And she's like, oh, really? Well, I'm doing this gut health class, and I'm, building the microbiome, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, I'm going to actually reduce some of your medication, take you off one, and keep doing this. And she goes, okay, if all of this is improving, why am I not seeing it in my waistband, in my pants? He's like, no. You have to heal the underneath first and take all that inflammation down there. You'll feel it then after. He goes, because you're healing it at the root. And then he goes, probably at the end of the class, by that point, you will see the results you're looking for in the weight loss. And it was true. She did. She lost like 20 pounds and got off all of her meds, actually. But it takes time. So I'm giving you the fair warning, 90 days for cellular turnover. Give yourself time to go through that. Okay. The last thing I'm going to leave you guys with is this. I really want to make sure you hear this clearly, because it's pretty empowering. While your genetics might load the gun, It's your lifestyle that pulls the trigger. Because I hear this all the time. Oh, I have high cholesterol because my dad has high cholesterol. And or I'm running with problems with my blood sugar because my mom was diabetic. Here's what's happening. You're living the same lifestyle or eating the same foods that are turning that gene on. We can turn that gene off. Okay. It's called epigenetics. Look it up. EPI genetics. All right. That's the problem there. And it's scientifically studied. You can do all the research you want on it. Your genes are not your destiny, is what I'm telling you. You have the power to change that. I do this. I've seen this. It's real. I had a nurse come in and she's like, the doctor wants to put me on statins. And he said, you have to because it's in your family history and blah, blah, blah. And she said, I don't want to go on statins. I'm a nurse. I've seen what statins do with my client or patients and blah, blah. I said, all right, let's clean up the gut. Let's heal the gut. Let's clean off the toxic load. She went back. She asked the doctor for 90 days. So she went back in 90 days, got a clean bill of health. He said, no statins needed. She sends me the blood work. She was so excited. There's so much that's possible. That's what I want to share with you guys. It's all there. Just start making small changes. I have to just give you a call to action. I know we're running close on our time here, you guys, and I want to try to get to some questions. Small call to action. Okay. You can always reach out to me, but small call to action. Do something today to implement something you learned here. Maybe it's go buy some lemons at the grocery store so you can do lemon water tomorrow. Maybe it's going for a walk after dinner tonight. Maybe it's doing legs up the wall before bed. Small doable actions can make a big difference. Change what we're doing in the morning. Maybe a protein smoothie tomorrow morning. If there's anything, you guys, I'm always here. You can reach out to me. If you need, if you want to do deeper dives and things like that, or if you have certain conditions or issues you want, or maybe you just need a better plan, whatever that might be, I'm happy to help. Okay, do we have time? Oh, my contact information is up there. Thanks, Nick. You can always reach out through that. I will send a follow-up email and you guys can send it out, I think. Now, questions. Here, do you need this?
Yeah, we do have one in there. Are there recommended types or brands of the protein powders without toxins?
Yes. And you know what I will do for the sake of time? We'll send it out in an email. How about that? We'll do a follow-up email because I know I mentioned a couple of things. I can put that together in an email and you can have some of that information at your fingertips. That might be a little easier.
Awesome. And then there was one, it said it was answered live, but I'm not sure that it was. Can you still have yogurt for the calcium in cultures and give up all other dairy?
Yeah, you know what? If you're going to do a yogurt, what I really suggest is look for the yogurts that are without the fruits and they're the plain yogurts and you enhance the flavor. Like really the best is like if you can do, I usually recommend that Fage, F-A-G-E brand, plain unsweetened, and you want 5% fat. And because you want the full fat, because when they pull the fat out, they suspend the molecules with sugar. So we're trying to avoid that. So what you do is then you can add the cinnamon that we talked about to help balance your blood sugar for flavoring. I often tell my clients to add a tablespoon or two of protein powder. Stir that in, cinnamon, some nuts. You can even add some berries. Berries are loaded with antioxidants. Try to get them organically. They're a little bit better for you. That way, less toxic load for the body. But yes, you can do that dairy. There are non-dairy yogurts, you guys, and they are pretty good. There's a brand called Culina, C-U-L-I-N-A. I know that's a good one. And there's a couple of others they have improved drastically since the early times. So yes to that question in different ways, yes.
Jack, can you find any of the non-dairy yogurts that have protein? All the ones I see are very low in protein.
There is, yes, there is a new one that came out and it has 15 grams of protein that I saw. And it might be the Culina brand. It's not in every store. You might have to look around for it. But I have seen it at Whole Foods. I know that.
Okay. We have another question here. It says, please describe how to walk up the wall.
Legs up the wall. How about if I do this? Why don't I put it in the email that I'll send out? I'll give you an actual diagram and it'll kind of list some of the benefits of why you want to do it. Let's do that. I think that'll be a little easier. I usually give clients a handout on it. So it's more doable.
I would volunteer to show it, but my camera won't work, my
Yeah,
setup,
I know it's too
so
hard. We can't do it in
no.
this format.
Um, yeah, I think that's it. I mean, some of these things that you've mentioned, Jackie, are so easy to do. You don't have to do all these things and all at once. Like
No, no.
about a year ago, I started doing the lemon in the water first thing in the morning, 8 to 12 ounces. I drink that first. I do the protein smoothie, and it's amazing how quickly you feel better. Like
It
starting your day off feeling good. So just little changes have made a
yeah,
huge difference for me. And um,
it's
thank you,
simple.
Jackie, for sharing all this. It's been fantastic. And like Jackie said, we'll send out a follow-up email. You'll have her contact info, some of the things she talked about. If you're interested in learning more, I encourage you to reach out to her. She's fantastic. Again, she's helped
Thank
me a ton. Some other people in our office because we had her out to do a kind of a team lunch to educate us on this stuff, and several of us took her up on the offer and started working with her. So she does great work, and I think you all will find that if you reach back out to her. But thank you, Jackie. Appreciate all the time, all the wisdom. This has
Oh,
been
thank you.
fantastic. We did record this, so we will also send out a link for everyone that you can rewatch this or share it with as many people as you'd like. Extremely valuable information. So thank you, Jackie.
Thank you. Thank you, Nick. And thanks to everybody that took the time to join us today. Appreciate it and wishing you well, good health. It's good to feel good, people.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Thank you.